Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today we have two of Warren County's firefighters, Lt.Tony Hitt and firefighter Lisa Wilbanks, right?
Yes, sir.
And the reason they're here is because next week is Fire Prevention Week, and normally we have Jerry come in and talk to us, the fire marshal. So he sent his number one ace crew today. I was going to say the backup crew, but if anybody knows Jerry knows that they're not the backup crew. So anyway, we want to put we're trying to give Jerry a dig because he promised me he'd be here. So that's okay, because I like picking on him.
No worries.
So we won't pick on you. All right, so Fire Prevention Week, it's a big deal. That's how most fires start, just by accident normally, or, other than arson. I mean, most people doesn't plan a fire, do they?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, most fires are accidental in nature. So we take this time this week every year to educate the community on what they can do in their homes to be more fire safe. Activities that they can conduct with their children so that their children are aware of fire safety in the homes and what they can do to better prepare themselves if a fire was to occur as well.
Mm-hmm. One thing that just comes through my elderly brain, and that's a big important thing, is as our population is aging, that you forget to turn the burners off, and you just do little simple things that you normally just took for granted, right? And all of a sudden, mom has left the burner on, and there's a fire. We don't really realize it. So it happens just like that.
Fires happen very quickly. Like you said, a lot of times it starts from just a little simple forgetting to turn the burner off, or it gets cold and people will take their ashes from their fireplace and they'll throw them outside, not thinking about where they place them. And next thing you know, the hot ashes from the fireplace are right beside the wood pile that's out back. And
I laugh because my next door neighbor did that, and the lights were flashing at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, "What is going on?" And the fire truck's outside. He said, "Are we on fire?" I jump out of bed and I look outside, and they had taken a plastic bucket and set it on the front wooden porch, and it caught the whole front of the house on fire. And like I say, 3 o'clock in the morning, they smoldered and sat there for a couple hours because they put it out around 9. It took 6 hours, but you caught the whole place on fire, burnt the whole front of the house off. So yeah, it does happen, and it happens to your neighbor, to you. It only happens. It takes that long, but it's so funny. So what are some of the tips that you want to give out to the public, or just kind of in general what we need to look for? Is there some checklist of 10 things you need to do?
Hey, Lisa.
Go ahead, Tony.
She's here. She's here just to prod him along and give him the right answers. Okay.
So the main things, this year's focus is actually fire won't wait, plan your escape. So the NFPA every year creates a slogan that they want fire departments to push out. This year's big push is on home escape plans, making sure that your children are aware of, your meeting place. Where are you going to meet when you have a fire, so that when we arrive, you can go, okay, there was 5 people in the house. We have 5 people at our meeting place. Everybody is accounted for that was in the house. Or you get there and you only have 3 people from the house, right, so that you can account for those people and know where they are.
Yeah, you see that on TV and shows. And next thing you know, they all give outside. And then there's mama screaming for her kid that's left inside the building. Of course, then they have that panic, and they're trying to explain to the firefighters where they're at, and they, calm down, and like what room, where I have to go, and flames are going every which way, and people just get the emotions just take off. It's just
absolutely. Well,
we don't want to be there.
Correct. You have like you mentioned, parents. If a child's left behind, we also have people who will run back in though for prized possessions
and the pets
and pets.
Pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those. We also have people who, remember, if you do get out of your fire, don't run back in to get your cell phone to call 911. Try to find your neighbor. Right. You laugh. That happens. We have people who go, oh, wait, I need to get my cell phone so I can call 911. Yeah. They run back into the burning building, and there you are now. You're trapped because you were thinking, hey, I need to call 911, but you didn't think, hey, I can go to my neighbor's house and grab their phone and do it.
Exactly. And probably someone's already called it. The neighbor's saying, hurry.
Yep.
You have as little as 2 minutes to escape from your home once it's on fire, and that is even with a working smoke alarm.
Right.
So it's very important that you plan your escape and you know how to get out of your home when a fire starts, and that's
And now we have so many second story homes. They've built homes up instead of out, and it's not just as easy as jumping out the window anymore. And people don't think that way, or they do think that way, and it's a long way down. They don't have a ladder. They haven't made a plan. They haven't made a plan because it happens to everybody else, but it won't happen to me.
right.
Correct.
And we know that's not true.
No, it's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
And like you said, and that's part of this fire won't wait plan your escape, making that plan, knowing how many different ways from each bedroom of the house that you can get out. I have 2 young children. And we plan with my 6-year-old, hey, what would you do if the hallway was on fire? So he knows our meeting place. He knows, okay, he can go out his bedroom window, which thankfully his bedroom window leads to the front porch. So it's just it's a 2-foot drop, and he's onto the concrete porch and he's out.
Right.
But planning that, not just with, you plan it with everybody in the home so that the children are aware of what to do when this fire occurs
Right.
as well.
And,
Not just planning, but practicing.
I was going to
too,
just say,
on a
we had
regular
fire
basis.
drills in school.
Right.
We just don't think about doing that in our home, and we need to do that. Okay, in an instant, without planning it, just jump in one day and say, fire drill, and boom, where are we going to go? House is on fire, and see what people respond. Don't, even little things we've done like that in the office, we've had, accidents or something happen. People kind of just stand around with a deer in the headlights. They don't really know what to do.
Right.
And call 911, do this, pick that. People need to have practice things that they do so that they'll react instead of, so they react instead of, or respond instead of reacting or doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, and it boils down to, how you mentioned, so many people think, oh, this won't happen to me. But, even if you don't think it will happen to you, still practice all those pieces so that way, if it does, and hopefully it never does, but we
Sure.
know
Right.
statistically it's going to happen to somebody.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, so
Or somebody or somewhere you're at, or I can remember we were in London one time at 2:00. It's always 2:00 in the morning. A fire never during the day, but always 2:00 in the morning when I'm sleeping. We were on a 11th floor, 11th floor of a motel, and all of a sudden these lights and flashing and sound and the announcements coming over, escape, here's the plan, and boom, boom, boom. And everybody's outside, they're counting everybody, looking for people. But you always have those one person that just, it's just a fire drill. And then they don't do it. And they're the ones that, this time there was no fire, but it could have been. And they had a lot of trouble with people not leaving the hotel. So it's same in your house. They hear the smoke detectors you
Right.
mentioned, and then they don't get up to bother to look and see what it is. I don't see any fire. And go back. I've seen that happen where it's smoldering in the attic, or it's doing somewhere else, or in the walls, and all of a sudden burst into flames at 2:00 in the morning.
Yep. It's always, and part of the reason you bring up the 2:00 that, a lot of times too, it's, like you said, you're not up and moving, so maybe you didn't want to get up and check that smoke
Sure.
alarm.
Yeah, right.
Or, versus, during the day, you're kind of up moving around, you kind of
Sure,
got your
sure.
eyes on everything.
Well, every time the batteries go off, it's always 2:00 in the morning, and I'll get a beep, beep, and I can't find which smoke detector because they're all hooked together, So I'm taking batteries out, where's those batteries? Where are those 9-volt batteries, So yeah, it's and that's typically a good time now. It's fall. Whenever our clocks change, that's always when I try to do it. When the clocks change every year, I change the battery because it's real
Right.
easy to remember just to do that. Is that something?
Well, we have a program at Warren County for our residents that we will come out and inspect your smoke alarms, make sure they're in date and working order, and you have a sufficient number for the living space that you have.
Right.
And if they're out of date or anything like that, or they need to be replaced, we will install and provide them for free. We have a partnership with the American Red Cross.
Right.
So we, all you have to do is call the
Just
office
call.
and schedule an appointment, and we'll come out and check them out for you.
Last year when Jerry was in, I said, I need to go check my smoke detectors. I hadn't realized they'd been there 20 years.
Yeah.
And they have, a life of
10.
typically 10 years. Even though I'm changing the batteries and the horn still hit when you hit the button, they really were wore out. The little chemicals and sensors and things in there just don't detect the heat and the smoke or whatever they do. And so I changed them all out. And but I didn't realize it had been 20 years since I'd changed them.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing I was going to say, the manufacturing companies have made it a lot easier.
Oh,
The,
yeah.
the overwhelming majority of your smoke alarms on the market now for your residential homes don't require a serviceable battery.
Exactly.
It's coming with a lithium-ion battery that lasts
10 years.
hopefully 10 years. Obviously, like you said, everything fails,
Sure.
eventually, but the goal is to get 10 years out of it to where all you have to do for 10 years is just monthly go and hit that button, make sure that alarm works, and when it does, you just keep on going with life till it's time to replace them.
I say that's a great thing. This time I got one that had AA batteries instead of 9 volts because you can't buy a 9-volt battery anymore. The whole world has gone to AA batteries, So, but that was hard to do, and then I've seen a lot of. I almost put the 10 years in there, but somehow I couldn't get out of stock. One of those things. And Jerry says, after I did all this, he said, "Oh yeah, we'd come do that for you." I said,
Right.
"Thanks, Jerry."
Right. Yeah, we're happy to provide that service.
It's
to
a
the
great
community.
service. People need to take advantage of that. It's kind of like seatbelt inspection. No, not seatbelt, but car seats. Have the sheriff or the police department check your car seats. Little things like that mean a lot. Our fire department, will come and check your house. If you got a question, right? You just show up, and you got guys like you that go around and do things like that. And it's, again, prevention goes a long way.
Right.
And I'm sure you'd much rather prevent a fire than have to put out a fire. It's kind of
We
like,
agree.
sitting around just waiting. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. Let's do something. Let's prevent them. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and like you said, and that's where prevention plays key, is that if we can ever prevent the emergency from happening, at the end of the day, that makes our day better. That makes your day better. If we never leave the station, that means everybody's having a great day and nothing bad has happened to anybody.
Years ago, it was always the other way around. Oh, we put out 100 fires this year. Hey, we haven't put out a fire in 10 years. That's what it's kind of like you want to work yourself out of a job. And it's a shame. People say, "Oh, you haven't done anything." That's good.
Yep.
That means we're doing our job. It's kind of like the police. We haven't arrested anybody. That's good. What are you doing? We're talking. We're keeping the crime down. So I think it's an under appreciated position that you all have. That of course every kid likes a fireman. But. I think that's always good. I see you guys are out with your trucks and you're going to the library and you go to the schools and just do a lot of awareness and training. And I think just like our police department, we call that community policing. I guess now we call it community firefighting. It's about keeping the public informed of all the great things that we have these services. We just need to take advantage of it. Because who do you call? First thing, you did that 911 and, it's not just the fire department. You have the EMTs and all those things work out of the fire department, and it's a great service that we have in our community. And I tell you, I've used it several times, and they've always, you guys have always come to the rescue. And that's something we talk about. Our first responders, they go towards the problem. They don't run away. We all turn around and run, and here comes the first responders, the firemen and the police and everyone else just rushing to the situation. And that's something that, we take for granted, and we shouldn't. We had to, so we thank you for your service,
Well, thank you.
It's just like our military, we're proud of our military, but I think we're really proud of our first responders as well. So. Those are the ones we see, and we don't know what they do. We don't want to know what they do. Just keep doing it, So what else you got on your list? I know she's biting at the bullet. She said, "Tony, you haven't talked about this yet. So what is that?"
Well, we're going to be out in the community next week, set up in front of Martin's in Rural King, Walmart, and Lowe's. So we'll have booth setups. We'll have the ability for the community to sign up to schedule their smoke alarm inspections and learn about fire prevention.
Okay. So if you see this fire truck parked out there, there's not a problem, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
That's great. And I know you guys do this really throughout the year, but you really concentrate on this time of the year of these prevention things. And on your website, there's all sorts of checklists and things. I think you got a lot of information, and it's just great. So we will put links to that, and we will put a little highlights out to tell people to change their batteries and
We appreciate that.
get their smoke detectors checked. And don't put your because you're right. It is getting cold.
Yes.
People start burning wood. They put too much wood in. There's a lot of things about building fires. Just not throwing it in there and think it's safe.
Having your chimney inspected
Yes,
annually.
that's cleaned. That's right. I mean, I can remember my wife we had a stove, and I get that thing glowing, and she'd have a fit. And it's right. You can get it too hot. And with, all sorts of things happen from the wood and the burning. The kids are around. They only get burnt once. They learn real quick. Don't touch that thing. That's hot. But no, it's a little thing. The next thing, I gotta run them to the doctor because they burned their hand. And you got to be careful. But nowadays we got a lot of people who live out in the county area, and they all have wood stoves, and that's a big thing. Wood, and then we got smoke detectors, fireplaces, ashes. Just junk around your house, just storing stuff. Don't realize, we had a fire right out here in front of our office where the mulch caught on fire in the median strip.
Yep.
All of a sudden we went out there and the smoke was just pouring out of the road. We ran over there and took a bucket, dumped some water on it. But and called the fire department. They come. But it's self-combusted,
Yep.
or somebody threw a cigarette out in it, and so we don't really hear much about that, but it happens every day.
It does.
And things do catch on fire, and it's not good. Fire is just a lot of damage, and will really reflect your negative in your life, right?
Correct.
Well, and you alluded, and Lisa spoke to it as well. It's quick.
That's quick.
It just at the snap of a finger. Just something
2 minutes.
in just a little small. Like she said, 2 minutes. 2 minutes to escape a home now.
Well, and the materials we're building out of are flammable, and you heard a lot about kids' pajamas, and the what they're made out of. Most of our clothes are made out of petroleum. We don't realize it. Our nylons and our polyester, that's all petroleum, which is will burn. And we're not building out of wool and cotton anymore. Even then they got chemicals on them to make them wrinkle free, and that's all petroleum based things, right? So our clothes are flammable, our bed clothing, our walls, our drapes, and it's like you say, it goes up in a heartbeat. It'll happen. So don't plan. If it happens, get out.
Right.
Get out.
Get out and stay out.
Right.
Get a plan. Let's get our escape plans this year. Make sure we do it. Let's have a few fire drills around your house. Let's be safe. We don't want to call these guys. They got enough stuff to do. But we do appreciate it. I know we make jokes about our first responders sometimes, but I think we're just jealous. We wish we would have done it. You know what I mean? So, again, congratulations on that. We're glad you're here. Tony is down in Bentonville. I said, I didn't even think about a fire department in Bentonville. So tell us a little bit real quick about, you got stations where? We got Bentonville, Rivermont, North Warren, in town,
Linden.
Shenandoah Farms,
No farm.
Linden.
Yep.
Wow. All of a sudden, think about all the areas we do have these fire departments and the people that are there. And this is a 24/7 deal. So
Yes,
sounds
sir.
like I'm doing all the talking. Lisa, you're supposed to tell me something. Come on.
I think I've told you a little bit.
A little bit. It's okay.
Well, we have 6 staff stations that are 24/7, and then we have 2 volunteer stations in the area.
Yeah. And volunteers are still needed. I mean,
Yes.
it's just because we have paid staff doesn't mean we don't need volunteers.
Yes.
There's a lot of things and we do a lot of fundraising, I know, for the fire department. The government only pays so much, and we need a lot more than what they'll fund. And there's also, plus it's good community building events and making people aware and training and things too to do that and participate. Of course, we all love our firemen
The relish.
relish. I was
Relish.
thinking coleslaw, but that's not it. The relish, yeah. I was down there last year before, we had the cement, the relish mixers.
Mixer.
And, good crew down there cutting up them onions and grinding that cabbage. And I said, what are you putting in there with it? That's a secret. We don't.
Trade
They wouldn't
secret.
let me take the camera over there. We got to black that out now in this part. But that's a good thing, and people support that, and it's a tradition that's been going on for a lot of years.
Yes, sir.
And the Fireman's Carnival and things like that. I'd just give you a real quick tidbit. That Fireman's Parade. Mark and I go out with the camera and we, host, videotape and record this parade and broadcast it. Just to let you know that people love the Fireman's Parade as the single most watched video on the Royal Examiner. Yes. The 2017 parade still gets hundreds of views a month to this day.
Really?
So we're over
awesome.
25,000 views of the Fireman's Parade of 2017.
Oh, wow.
Now, what happened in 2017 that's different about anything else, but somebody's got hold of that link and is sharing it all around the world, and they're coming from all over the world, and they sit there and watch the whole thing through. So we get a lot of views, thousands of views on those parades, and they line the streets, and they come, and the people that participate come from all over. It's just a big thing. People love that parade.
Everybody loves fire trucks.
They love fire. Not quite as loud as it was. Maybe in 2017 they had a siren war. You know, who could play the siren the loudest? They've kind of cut that back a little bit. You know, I have to wear hearing protections when I'm out there. But no, it's a great thing, and I think people really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Again, Tony and Lisa, thanks so much for coming in. We'll put the links to all the websites, and we'll put some highlights and some checklist things in the story here. And hopefully we brought enough attention to Fire Prevention Week. And of course, we posted several stories about it. Will be coming up because I knew about Fire Prevention Week. I just didn't tell Jerry I knew. All right. Again, thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for
you.
having us.